to another edition of Lab Rats. My name's Andy Walker. I just thought I'd be quiet for a change, you know?
Thank God.
And you are?
I'm Sean Carruthers.
You change it up every now and then. Today on the show, I'm going to be loud again. Go back to see poor Matt. Today on the show, how about that? We're going to be looking at brand new technology that involves wires.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Called, well, you're probably familiar with this term, USB, right? So we've done USB before. You kind of know what it is. You probably use it all the time. In fact, chances are you're probably plugged into a USB jack right now. However, it's no snickering over there. You're a naughty boy. USB 3 is coming out.
USB 3.
Right. So today we're going to talk about what exactly is that? What do you mean 3? I always thought we were at 1.1 or 2. Yeah,
we
3.
were.
Yeah. So what does 3 mean? And Sean's going to do a little speed test to show you why 3 is so much better than 2, besides the fact that it's one more.
One more is always enough, I think, but I think I can give a few more bonus reasons.
Can you make
them
really excited about USB 3?
I think so.
Okay, good. All right, let's take a break. Message from our sponsor when we come back. USB 3 demystified today on
Lab Rats.
Thank you. I promise you that USB 3 is much more exciting than my brand new Hawaiian shirt.
I would have said that even before seeing your shirt.
Until you like it. I got it in like the Turks and Caicos, no, I don't know, Dutch Antilles or something.
Do you know where you've been?
I have no idea. Okay, moving on. They don't care about my wardrobe, they care about USB 3. So let's get on with
USB 3.
it. All right, so USB 3, what does it mean? Let's start at the very basics.
USB. So USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. It was released a few years back. It was a replacement for all of those multitude of cables that people had. There was serial, there was parallel cables, there were other cables that were neither of the above, that were proprietary. So at one point they just said, you know what? Let's get rid of all these other things, come up with one standard that was plug and play, which means you can plug it in on the fly or unplug it on the fly, and would basically
connect to everything, right?
Connect to everything.
Cameras, scanners, printers,
Right.
one cable.
Right, that's the universal part. Serial meaning it sends data one bit after the other, and bus meaning the way it transits back and forth. It's a bus.
It's a bus, move stuff.
Move stuff.
Got it. Very good. So the critical piece on this episode is the number 3.
Right.
Right. So we started off with USB 1. Mm-hmm. They quickly fixed that and made it USB 1.1 because there wasn't there a bug in the very beginning?
There was something wrong with it.
Right.
Yeah.
USB 2 came shortly thereafter, and now this is sort of the next iteration, right?
Right. So the key difference between each of these, there's a few extra things around the outside, but the key difference, the takeaway for you, the viewer, is speed. So USB 1 and 1.1 were 10 megabits per second, which was speedy at the time. But when the next revision came along to USB 2.0, it cranked that up to 480 megabits per second.
Right.
Which
so it was called high speed.
Right.
Right. USB was USB, and then high speed USB.
Right.
Okay.
So you can move a whole lot more across, and which was very important when you're having hard drives being attached via USB. You could actually use them in a fairly real-time fashion as opposed to before where it would basically be, okay, start your copy. Now we'll wait, we'll go for a coffee, come back in a couple hours, and the copy will be done.
USB 2 very important for like, moving movie content, music, iPod connectivity, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, so as we became more data-centric, we needed that higher speed to avoid tearing our hair out.
Right.
So now with USB 3, we've bumped up from 480 megabits per second, which is already pretty fast, up to 4,800 megabits per second, so 10 times that speed.
4.8 gigs per second?
4.8 gigabits per second.
Gigabits per second.
Right. So now that is idealized. That's the fastest it can go. You'll see less than that under
real-world
average conditions. But the same was true with USB 1.1 and 2. It would always be rated for 480, but you'd get much lower depending on what you're transmitting and what types of content.
Right. Okay. Very good. All right. So let's start with, I guess, the physical technology. What do we need for USB 3? Do you want to go there first? Talk about cables and stuff.
Yeah. So we talk about the cables and the connectors. So everyone knows what a USB port looks like on the outside of their computer.
Yep.
Now the new one is slightly updated for both. Now, you know, with USB, you've got both the full-size one for things like printers, and then you've got the mini one for things like your cameras. Right. So we'll just show a couple of examples of that, photos of that. So the new ones are kind of similar. So if you look at this end, and you're probably not going to see much of this on that screen, but it looks very similar. So we'll do a close-up of that here too. You'll notice it looks very much the same as before, but there's an extra bunch of pins in there. So beforehand there were 4 pins, and now there's 9 tucked away inside there in 2 different layers.
So we're going from 4 pins to 9.
Right.
And version 2 to 3.
Right.
Okay, I'm getting confused already.
Yeah. That's all. You don't need to know how many pins there are on there. All you need to know is that this end is exactly the same shape.
Yes.
It'll fit into your USB 2.0 and 1.1 ports.
No problem.
No problem at all. The other end is going to be the problem.
All right.
Here. Okay? So we've got this one right here. And if you compare this to the previous one, we'll show the first generation now. And we'll show a close-up photograph of this one. You'll notice this new one has a hump on it.
It does.
It does have a little bit extra, and that's where the extra pins are stored.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. So now the implications of this from a compatibility perspective, now this part of it right here is exactly the same, the lower end. The hump is the addition here. So now you can use a USB 2.0 rated cable with USB 3 devices because it'll fit into them.
Yeah.
It'll clock down to the lower speed because you're only using the USB 2.0 part of that technology. So it's backwards compatible that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have a USB 3.0 cable, that won't fit into your printer because there's not space for that extra hump.
So the printer itself, the device itself, has to have this compatibility.
Right. So if you want USB 3 out of it, it has to be USB 3 rated. That's always been the case for the previous generations as well. But you can't even use the new cables with your old technology unless it's rated for USB 3.0.
So that means everybody's going to get rid of the scanners, new printers, get a new camera.
No, you still use your old devices.
Yeah, just not at the faster speed.
Not at the faster speed.
Although there must be adapters. Aren't you going to be adapter technology?
Well, it would adapt it down to the lower speed. So there's hardly any point. At that point, you can just use your old cables. So you can still use your old cables with these devices on your USB 3 slot on your computer. So no problem.
Right.
But yes, when you move up to the faster one, there's going to be an addition. Likewise, I'm going to show this as well. So the mini ports, previously you had this right here. This is something you'd see on your iPhone or your any
BlackBerry
of these devices. Yeah. So any devices that need charging that are small.
GPS.
Now they've added again a little hump, and on this case is on the side. So these ones will still work in a USB 3.0 device. It'll basically fit in right over here. However, this cable right here won't fit into your old devices. So maybe you'll have an adapter for that will narrow it down and allow you to use your old devices with this cable, if this is the only cable you have.
Okay, so now is this technology available now?
Yes.
Sort of?
Kind of.
So I'm going to go buy a computer, I'll have USB 3 ready to go, ready to rock? No.
Some of them are, but in general, this hasn't rolled out yet. Now, the widespread adoption of these technologies doesn't really happen until they roll them out into motherboards and into basic computers that go out now. There's some high-end ones. There's an NV from HP that has USB 3.0 built in. The NV, which is one of the lines that came out of the old Voodoo computer, has always been pushing the envelope in terms of the specs that it has.
So if you want one now, you have to go buy an NV computer from Voodoo.
Right, and there's probably some others coming out. Maybe by the time you've seen this, there'll be even more.
So slow rollout, what in the sort of the winter, spring of 2010.
Right.
Okay, good.
So for other people that want to get their hands on this in the meantime, they have to add it in to their machines, provided their machines will accommodate the adapters for this. So there's a couple ways to do this.
These guys?
Yeah. So we've got these devices here. This I'll show you off this one right here. Folks at StarTech are one of the companies that are doing this right now. So this right here is a 2-port Express, a PCI Express version, so a super speed, and you'll notice right here that it's got just this small edge here. So if you're used to PCI Express inside the desktop machine, you'll probably be used to the ones that are this long for your graphics cards.
Right.
This one's just short, so it's called the 1X slot. It will fit into any PCI Express slot. So even if you've got the longer slot, it'll fit in. It just won't go all the way to the end. And
I should mention that PCI Express slots are designed for desktop computers. So this is not going to fit in your laptop.
No, this is not going to fit into your laptop. So this is only for your desktop. So if you've got a really, really old machine, you're looking at something that's like 10 years old, you might have USB on that old machine, but it may not have a PCI Express card slot. Right. So check your specs and open up the case, see if you have a PCI Express, if you know what to look for.
Right, okay.
So without that, you're kind of hosed.
Now if I want to expand this to my laptop?
If you want to expand this to your laptop, now here's a tricky part. So again, StarTech has this thing right here called Express Card Super Speed USB Controller Adapter Cards. So this is the card itself. If you're used to old notebook adapter, like they have PCMCIA slots, this isn't that, but it's a similar idea. You just slide this in, the pins inside connect into your notebook. Now, not a lot of notebooks have express card slots built in. Brand new ones may. Yeah. Your netbooks won't. Yeah. Why you'd want a USB 3.0 on your netbook, I don't know.
Camera.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe. But the MacBook will have it. And so you've got, on the side here, we've got that slot. And we would just slide it in like so.
So you can, oops.
Yeah, it's a little bit springy.
So you can put it into a fairly new hard desktop. You can do it into a fairly new netbook, not netbook, excuse me, but notebook. But really, this technology is being rolled out this year, and we won't be seeing really shipping a lot of computers till 2011 or late in this year.
Yeah, late this year or early next year.
Okay, let's talk a bit about, real quick, because we're running out of time, hard drives, USB 3 hard drives. What's going on in that department? Yeah,
so there's a couple of drives we've seen. We were down at CES, and we got a chance to look at a couple. So this one right here is from Seagate. It's the Black Armor drive. Ooh. It looks just like any other portable hard drive, except in this case it's got the connector on the side here, and instead of the tiny one from before, you've got this this wider connector for the USB 3. So again, you can use this with your USB 2 connectors. So if you take this out and put this in, you just put it in the one side, or it should.
Should.
Well,
hey, it work.
Look at that. Okay. So it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
So that one's 500 gigabytes. It'll work.
I can make it work. No, it's too fat.
If you could force that, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Let's take a break because I know you have a really fun. Oh, you have another. Yeah, we have another hard drive.
We have two more things quickly. This right here is the MyBook 3.0 from Western Digital. Yeah. Again, this is a desktop-sized drive. Yeah. It does use the adapter on the side. Yeah. Or the mini size adapter for that. So. And then this one right here from StarTech again.
In case you want a different color black.
In case you want a different color black. This is actually a do-it-yourself enclosure. So if you have a drive of your own, and this one uses the full-size USB cable.
Okay, got it. All right. Pricing we don't have, right?
Pricing is coming on most of these things. We'll roll it in on the Supers if we can.
We get them in time, yeah.
But at this point, it's all so new, we're not even really 100% sure what these are going to cost.
Okay, cool. I know Sean's got a speed test coming up, and we'll do that right after this break with a message from our sponsor. Well, seeing is believing, of course, so we may want to talk about USB 3, but Sean's actually going to show us how much faster it is in our super speed test.
Yes, and I want to set one thing straight before we get started on this.
Yeah.
Because we were having trouble getting that mini USB plug into these drives. Yeah. That's because mini isn't the one, it's micro USB. So the smaller ones that are on the newer phones.
Got it.
That one is the same as this one, a little bit longer though. So don't try to put your minis on newer phones, newer devices.
Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, good. All right. Super speed test.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to copy a file over, and we're going to do it 2 times.
Yes.
One, we're going to do it on the USB 2. I'm plugged in via that right now.
So that's standard on that one. Okay.
So let's go now. Okay, here we go. Go. 100 megabytes. Okay, that's done. That was reasonably peppy.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so let's do this again. We're going to erase that first.
Yes.
And empty our recycle bin so it's not there anymore. And then after we're done that, we're going to move this over to the world of USB 3.0.
Because you have an adapter.
I have the adapter over here.
And showed before.
Showed before, and we're going to plug it in.
Hooray.
There we go. Wait for it to pop up.
Yes. Okay,
there we go.
Oh, at least faster than Windows.
Yeah, that part of the equation is still as slow as it ever was. Okay, so now we're going to do USB 3.0. Same 100 megabyte file.
Go.
Done.
Oh, it is faster.
So it is faster. So
it is faster.
Now, just a quick demo like this. Obviously, is not too scientific. We are just sort of guesstimating it here. So I did a much longer test and got out the stopwatch and tried this out. So we did it with USB 2.0, USB 3.0, and FireWire 800, which is the fastest of FireWire, because people are maybe interested in that. So, so for 3 gigabytes of smaller files, and I did that, and I did 5.7 gigabytes of single file, one big massive video file. Because how you transmit it makes a difference with serial.
Right.
Okay, so the bunch of smaller files with USB 2.0, it was roughly about 3 minutes. Yeah. So a little bit over, a little bit under, depending on the drive. But when you move to USB 3, it's about anywhere from 115 to about 140, depending on the adapter and the drive. Okay. So basically, we've cut it in half, maybe even by a third in this case. Wow. Okay, so that's a bunch of little files. With the single file, 5.7 gigabytes, USB 2, We had anywhere from 4.5 minutes to 5 minutes. And that went down to 1.5 minutes to 2. So again, we're bringing that down substantially.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's not exactly 10 times the speed. As we talked about that, that's under ideal conditions. Under real world conditions, we're going to get much less than 10 times the speed. FireWire 800 for the single file was roughly equivalent to the USB 3.0 at the high end, so about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah. For the smaller batch, we brought that down from 257 for USB 2.0 to about 206. It's still slower than USB 3. So people were speculating, okay, it's faster for USB 3.0, but is FireWire 800 still going to be faster? And the answer is no. At this point, no, it isn't.
So they come out with FireWire 1600.
1600, yeah. Ooh, so that might change the equation again. So right now it looks like USB 3.0 is going to be the speedy transfer of choice.
Lives up to its name, super speed USB 3.0.
Yeah, except if you're on Mac for the moment.
Well,
doesn't work.
Okay.
Well, I'm on my Mac, but we're doing this on Windows. At this point, the drivers are available for Windows.
Okay. Apple people stand by.
Stand by. And I'm sure Linux, somebody will hack that together.
By the time the iPad comes out, you'll get USB 3 too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, speaking of high-speed cables, when we were down at the Consumer Electronics Show back in January of 2010, we actually encountered all kinds of cable technology, including Andrew Moore-Crispin found new technology called HDMI. Well, that's not new, but HDMI 1.4. HDMI, of course, is the TV connector that you use for HDTV. So this new spec, 1.4, came out, and he's going to tell you a little bit about this in this clip from butterscotch.com.
Welcome on deck. I'm Matt Harris.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman.
Welcome to the A-List. Hi, welcome to Miss Download.
So what does HDMI 1.4 actually mean to me as a consumer, a guy who likes to watch TV?
So one of the biggest things that, like you said, what you've heard at the show is 3D. And HDMI is the first digital interface that has enabled 3D communication between devices. Before HDMI, there was chaos in the 3D world. Basically, you had proprietary solutions that you were kind of tied down to one technology vendor.
Right.
But now HDMI has enabled universal 3D communication over a digital link. Therefore, now you can have HDMI worldwide communication device and have 3D through that link without any interoperability issues.
Don't forget you can see that whole clip and all kinds of other stuff from the Consumer Electronics Show at butterscotch.com. All right, now, my favorite part of the show, picture time.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about Apple again.
No, too much Apple. Let's do a Windows 7 show for the next 10 episodes. No, okay. All right, come on, pictures. Show us some pictures.
All right, so we have asked you for pictures from all around the world, wherever you are. Send us, where you are, who you are. We've got a where you are today. So Bilal from Pakistan sent a picture. Nice and snowy there.
Snowy in Pakistan.
Yes, there you go.
I hear Pakistan is very temperate.
Yes, well, it has mountainous territory too, so you never know.
Snow is very good, nice.
So
cool.
There we go. And we also got a photograph of, I'm assuming this isn't Bilal, but maybe one of his relatives, a son or a nephew or something like that.
Going skiing.
But there we go. I guess, yeah, I didn't think about that. There's snow. He's going skiing.
Do we know the little skier's name?
We do not.
Oh, come on.
So there we go. Bilal, do what you should do and send us the name of your relatives. When you're sending these to us, send us who you are, where you are, all of that stuff.
Reminds me of me on a food demo.
Yes.
It's my
It's
doppelganger.
got cushions in behind as well. You need safety because someone's going to fall down maybe.
Right.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sending in your pictures. We love when you do. You know, cats, rats, moms, dads, dogs, small children with ski goggles that look like me. All kinds of things, and you can email those too.
You don't need USB 3.0 to send us email, although it would make it a tiny bit quicker at labrats.tv.
Or more simply,
feedback at labrats.tv.
All right. Fantastic. And of course, you know, to that feedback address, you can also send us messages, tell us what you like, what you don't like about the show, show ideas, what you want to see, and maybe, you know, questions that we want answered on a future episode of Mailbag. So don't forget to do that. Now, the other thing we should mention is there's those show notes for this episode, as in all episodes, on butterscotch.com. Go to butterscotch.com/blah, blah, blah, whatever you want to click through and find us and all the notes that support this show, as well as other episodes.
If you type blah, blah, blah into the search field there.
I'll have to find out. All right. Well, thank you for pushing play this week. We'd be foolish to be here with USB 3 if you weren't out there with your USB 2. My name's Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
We'll see you next time.
3.0.
Are you ready?
So maybe this isn't compatible. They told me it was compatible.
It looks like it needs a slimmer USB connector. It's the super
Oh,
slim.
you know what it is? It's the micro one.
Micro one, yeah.
Wait, let me double check.